All right. Um, yeah. Another Joe Rogan clip with Billy Carson. I don't know Billy Carson, but this is what's on the dark side of the moon, which is interesting. But yeah, let's see what they got to say. Let's go.
Like there was a whole story today about China just landed on the far side of the moon. So they landed a probe over there.
Yeah, they did.
This is if there was the China-America war on the moon, like
Right.
what if America claims a spot and China lands and plants a flag there and they're like, hey, fuck you, that's ours.
Now that's what's going to happen.
Especially if there's like something on the moon they can mine that's very valuable.
Oh, this stuff up there. I researched the Clementine mission years ago. NASA and the United States military sent a military, at that time, it was a top secret mission called Clementine. It was a low lunar orbiting satellite to go to the dark side of the moon. And when I saw the name Clementine, I knew right away, this thing ain't coming back. And as I began to dig deeper into the declassified documents, of course, it never came back.
Why'd you think it's...
Oh, my
right.
darling Clementine,
That's
you
right.
were lost and gone forever.
Wow.
And I was right. And sure enough, it hit something on the dark side of the moon, which is really just the backside. It's not really dark there, but it hit something, but it sent back about 20 gigs of data. And these images are available to the general public. They've been declassified, and there are strange anomalies on those images. This is pre-Photoshop, pre-everything, things that shouldn't be there that look like broken structures and junk and things that just seem to be laying around. So I think it was a reconnaissance mission to gather intel and data, which is probably why China's gone to that far side of the moon as well, because they're probably going to. It's a race to see who can capture ancient technology and then reverse engineer it and then weaponize it.
Well, that's the most fun theory ever. The most fun theory ever is that there's bases on the moon and the dark side of the moon that aliens have abandoned. Yeah. Jamie, are there any photos of these anomalies? That's the most fun theory.
I can provide you some with links to the sources too.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. But Jamie will probably find something.
Cool.
So what do these structures look like to you when you look at them?
Just dome structures there.
A dome?
There's domes. As a matter of fact, one of the astronauts, I think it was Neil Armstrong, if you get the declassified from the Freedom of Information Act documents that are the black box audio and the black box redacted text statement from NASA, which is available to the general public, Neil says, look at those convex structures down there. I bet the people in there never get out. And he's talking about dome structures on the moon. And this is an exact statement that was made that's in the black box audio, which I can provide you to the link to that as well.
Okay, so where are these structures? Do you see any of these that you find compelling?
You need to look for anomalies on the backside of the moon. We utilize a lot of these on our Facebook groups. On Facebook, we have these groups, anomaly hunting groups. We formed the United Family of Anomaly Hunters, and we've cataloged about 60,000 anomalies now. A lot of them are on the dark side of the moon. But tell you, type in Clementine moon photos anomaly. You may be able to find some. If not, I'll send you the link to some resources where you can look them up, and you can take a look at some of these crazy objects that are there.
So is that one right there in the upper right-hand corner?
Yeah, that one's there. Some structure. Those kind of look like two pyramids on to the left of it, and then another structure which almost seems like it has geometry. Now, underneath that, you see the blur? That looks like obfuscation. Directly, if you go back
Which
up
one?
to that top right.
Top right?
Yeah, top right, B. Okay, you see that where his hand is? Now move to the left going down slowly. See that? Go back up again. See that? Oh, where his hand is over right now?
Mm-hmm.
It looks like obfuscation. Sometimes you can take these images and put them into a Photoshop and take away the contrast, and all of a sudden structures pop right out. But right above that, you see those shadows of those pyramid structures?
Right above that.
Yeah, you see those pyramids? You can see this dark shadow.
I see two lines.
Okay.
I see the arrow that's pointing to that one straight line, and then I see what looks like two superimposed arrows.
Okay, do you see?
Yeah, those things.
Okay, yeah.
Those are superimposed, right? Like
no, those are shadows.
But look, those are the same things that are in the bottom. Aren't they just pointing at something? Aren't those pointers?
I think they may be highlighting something.
Right, I think it's a cursor mark or something. Yeah. So what they're saying, I see what they're pointing to. They're pointing to that thing in the upper right-hand corner that kind of looks like a pyramid.
Yeah, you see that? You see that right there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a pyramid.
It's cleaned up a little bit there in C. C is more clean. But those things don't look like they belong there.
Well, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. But now we have that pyramid right there is very famous. That's a very old image. That's on the moon. There should be a link to that. There's a lot of that particular one's been around for years and years and years. It's kind of hard to think that were formed by natural. Now, and what happens is, we're not saying we know exactly what these things are. We're just saying that we feel like they don't belong there.
Jamie, go back to that image that you were just looking at, the thing that looked like a pyramid. That one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, get that one big. That one's crazy.
Yeah.
That one's very strange looking. Because the way it points at the top and has flat sides, like,
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, that's
Right.
if that's real, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But
You know how tall that is, by any chance?
that's a good question.
There's a measuring tool. We don't have it, obviously, access to it right
seems
here.
so
but there
flat
is
on-
there is a measuring tool. You can see the shadow, which gives you an idea of the height.
I'd like to see it in real life, though. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, sometimes things fuck with you. It's just, but the angle is so unnatural looking.
Yeah, it definitely looks unnatural. We just try to catalog things that appear to be anomalies, things that appear to be out of place.
Right. It could be anything.
Yeah, I always remember. I've said it before in a video about the moon. I remember watching. It was like, I don't think it was in a documentary. I literally think it was just footage of someone walking around the moon, or people like walking around the moon in suits, and there's giant structures that they're walking under and walking in, and but it was years ago, and someone could have made it. To be fair, that wasn't before the age of being able to make something up like that, I suppose. But yeah, I've never seen anybody reference that. But I remember watching that. It's crazy. Yeah. But that's the other thing as well. Depending on how you get a shot of something, it can look like the face on Mars. But if you look at it from like everyone's seen that, like looks like a Roman, or like a helmet, like a warrior head. But then yeah, it's on Mars. But then if you look at the other angle, it just looks like a collection of rocks. But from the angle of the first picture, it just so happens to capture it in a way that makes it look like a face. Which yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It is hard to tell. It is hard to like. Because I might do a video on it. Joe Rogan and Matt Walsh going back and forth about whether the moon landing actually happened. And Matt Walsh is coming from, yeah, it did. But then there are interesting things. There's enough things where you can go. And that's the thing. If you have, really, it makes it a waste of time, because you're never really going to be able, like, because what the argument is that you can't go through the Van Allen belt, whatever that's called, because it's too much radiation. And that Joe Rogan was talking about when X-rays first started coming around, and they was testing on people, putting your hand under an X-ray, like people that would just put their hands under X-rays ended up getting crazy cancer in there all over their hand. And yeah, it's like, if that happens just like that, then imagine going through something that's 1,000 times stronger, and you're going through it for hour and a half. I think it's an hour and a half. Yeah, but then I don't know whether that's even true. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I can't go into space and say whether, so it becomes a bit of a, yeah, whatever you kind of, want to believe in, I guess. But another interesting thing about the moon landing not happen is the why hasn't, in every other aspect, technology has moved on, except that Apollo mission. And the technology is obviously far more advanced, but they can't do what they did back then. Yeah, but then again, that it's not proof that it didn't happen. It's just enough proof that can make you go, well, maybe. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. But yeah, so I like the theory of that the moon doesn't belong there. It's not. Our moon isn't technically a moon because it doesn't have the characteristic of a moon. It's too big. It's too close. Like it's unlike any other moon. Yeah, that it basically has none of the characteristics of what you would consider other moons. That makes it a moon. Our moon doesn't have. It's called the moon. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to kind of wonder, like, what's on the dark side of the moon. But yeah, like I say, things can like face on like that's why pictures and things aren't really a good thing to go off of because it can be an optical illusion. Like the Mars thing, that's why anything you can kind of pick up on on the moon and go, that's a that shouldn't be there. There's going to be someone that said, well, yeah, that's actually perfectly normal for it to be there. And neither one of you can really prove your point because neither one of you can actually go there and see. So, because, yeah, so, but it's fun. But yeah, let me know your thoughts.